Every year, millions of Americans celebrate the 4th of July with fireworks. Families gather in park. Children look up at the sky. Cities compete to put on the biggest fireworks display. But, ladies and gentlemen, this particular year, one celebration almost turned into disaster. Can you imagine sitting inside a passenger plane? Your flight is about to land. Everyone is preparing to get off the aircraft, and suddenly a loud bang shakes the entire plane. Well, for a few terrifying moments, nobody knows exactly what happened. And that is exactly what passengers on the Delta Airlines flight experienced while approaching Chicago Midway International Airport. According to the reports, the aircraft carrying 52 passengers and 6 crew members was just about 200 feet above the ground when the pilot radioed air traffic controllers saying that the plane had been hit by what appeared to be a firework. Well, air traffic controllers had already received reports that fireworks were being launched near the airport. Fortunately, the aircraft landed very much safely, nobody was injured, and later, inspections found a minor paint damage. But you know what? The Federal Aviation Administration has now launched an investigation into the whole incident. Now think about what frightening those few seconds must have been when a pilot hears a loud explosion during landing. The first question is quite obvious. Is it a bird strike? Well, an engine problem or something much more dangerous? Thankfully, it turned out not to be a major accident, but the whole incident has once again raised serious question about fireworks being used close to the airport. Well, aircrafts are at their most vulnerable during takeoff and landing. Pilots are fully focused on safely bringing hundreds of tons of aircraft to the runway. Even a small distraction or maybe an unexpected object, it can create unnecessary risk for the passengers. And that is exactly why airports around the globe have strict rules about fireworks, drones, and laser lights operating nearby. Well, officials are now trying to determine exactly where the firework came from and whether any safety rule were violated or not. Thankfully, this story ended with everybody reaching home safely, but it also serves as a reminder that celebrations should never compromise public safety, because one careless act, it can put dozens of innocent lives at risk. Can you imagine waking up in your city, looking outside your window, and instead of seeing the morning sky, you see thick black smoke covering everything? You are told not to leave your home. Emergency vehicles rush past your street. Firefighters continue battling flames that refuse to die down. Well, that is exactly what happened in America's state of West Virginia. A massive warehouse fire broke out at the People's Cartage warehouse in Parkersburg. Well, this is sending huge cloud of black thick smoke into the sky. In fact, the fire spread so rapidly that local authorities established a larger safety parameter. While Governor Mr. Patrick, he declared a state of emergency and mobilized state resources to assist the firefighters. In the meantime, environmental officials, they also began monitoring the air quality and nearby waterways as crews continue working to control the blaze. The exact cause of the fire, that is still under investigation. Now think about this. Most people only notice a fire because of flames. But sometimes the smoke becomes an even bigger danger here. Officials warn nearby residents to stay indoor because nobody knew exactly what chemical was burning inside the warehouse. Well, whenever industrial buildings catch fire, questions immediately arise. What materials were stored inside? Could the smoke become toxic? Will nearby rivers or drinking water be affected? Well, these are exactly the kind of questions environmental teams are now trying to answer here. For firefighters, this was never an ordinary fire. Every warehouse contains different material. Well, here some collapse without any warning. Others continue burning for days. That is why emergency teams worked around the clock while asking people to stay away from the area. In fact, incidents like these also remind us that disasters don't always arrive in the form of hurricanes, earthquakes, or maybe floods here. Sometimes one warehouse, one spark, it can force an entire community into emergency mode. Fortunately, there was no immediate report of civilian casualty, thankfully, but investigations are only beginning here. Officials will now examine whether the fire was accidental or whether something else caused the enormous blaze here. Well, as America deals with one emergency on the ground, another frightening incident unfolded in the skies, and this time it involved a passenger aircraft carrying dozens of people.